August 28th, 2003, Erie, Pennsylvania. The kind of quiet afternoon where nothing ever happens until a man in a white t-shirt, carrying a homemade cane, walked calmly into a PNC Bank. Around his neck was a bulky metal device, strapped tight with a thick locking collar. He set down a note at the teller's counter and said the words that froze everyone in the building. "This is a robbery. I have a bomb." The man's name was Brian Wells, a 46-year-old pizza delivery driver. To the tellers, he didn't look like a criminal more confused than dangerous, more terrified than threatening. The note demanded $250,000 in cash and claimed that if anyone tried to call the police, the bomb would detonate. His voice was trembling, but his tone stayed polite, almost rehearsed. When the teller handed over a smaller stack of bills, about $800, Brian stuffed the money into a bag and walked out as calmly as he had entered. Outside, he climbed into his car, an old, rusting Geo Metro, and started to drive off. He didn't get far. Just 15 minutes later, police cruisers swarmed him in a parking lot near a gas station. Officers ordered him to the ground, guns drawn. He obeyed instantly, sitting cross-legged on the pavement. The metal collar around his neck gleamed under the sun, a boxy contraption with wires poking out, a lock at the front, and a small ticking timer. Brian shouted that he was just a delivery man, that someone had forced him into this, that he was being used. "It's gonna go off," he yelled. "It's real." Officers called for the bomb squad, but the unit was miles away. They kept their distance, unsure if it was a bluff. Reporters began to arrive. Cameras rolled. Sirens echoed across the parking lot. Then, as Brian sat there breathing heavily, the timer on the collar began to beep faster. He looked up at the officers. "It's going off," he whispered, and within seconds, it did. The explosion echoed down Peach Street. When the smoke cleared, Brian Wells was gone. The police now faced a nightmare. Was he a victim or a willing participant? When they searched his car, they found a stack of pages, a detailed set of instructions that read like something out of a twisted scavenger hunt. The papers told him where to go, what to find, and how to unlock the device around his neck. The final step, the note promised, would lead to the key that could save his life. The sequence of locations, a wooded area, a dirt road, a payphone, even a fake traffic cone, looked almost like someone had built a deadly puzzle. The instructions warned him not to deviate, not to contact police, and not to try removing the device himself. It read, "This powerful bomb will explode if you don't follow instructions precisely." The FBI took over within hours. They had a dead man, a homemade bomb, a hand-drawn treasure map, and no idea who had orchestrated it. Every clue led to another dead end. At first, the media painted Brian as an unlucky pawn, a random pizza guy forced into a sadistic game by unknown criminals. But then, new details began to surface. Police discovered that he had delivered pizzas earlier that day to an address near an old television transmission tower, a place that locals rarely visited. When they searched the area, they found a small clearing, tire tracks, footprints, and remnants of tools. There were soda bottles, cigarette butts, and wires scattered in the dirt. Someone had been there recently. The theory began to change. What if Brian Wells hadn't been a victim at all? What if he had been in on the plan? As the investigators dug deeper, they uncovered names that would soon make the case even more tangled. A reclusive woman with a long criminal history, a handyman obsessed with explosives, and an ex-boyfriend who believed he could outsmare her to the FBI. But the first major break came when police visited an old gravel driveway just outside Erie, the home of a woman who neighbors described as odd, lonely, and dangerous. Her name was Marjorie Deal Armstrong, and when detectives knocked on her door, they had no ideal twist. When forensics ran DNA and fingerprint tests on the bomb components, they matched items found in Rothstein's garage and traces of hair belonging to Marjorie. Both had touched it. Both had handled the blueprints. But there was a third set of fingerprints from a man neither had mentioned. His name, Kenneth Barnes, a retired TV repairman, known for small-time hustles and drug deals. He lived just a few blocks from Marjorie. When agents arrived at his door, he didn't even try to lie. He said, "You're here about the pizza man, aren't you?" Barnes's confession unraveled the case. Marjorie had wanted her father dead to claim his inheritance. She needed money to hire a hitman, and the bank robbery was her way to get it. Rothstein built the device. Barnes helped plan it. And Brian Wells? He thought it was a harmless hoax. He had no idea it would end his life. But the deeper agents dug, the less sense it made. There were contradictions, missing hours, and too many overlapping lies. Someone was still holding a secret, and that secret, the real truth about the bomb, would surface in a chilling discovery hidden in Rothstein's old workshop. The workshop smelled of oil and old sawdust. A single bulb hung from the ceiling, swinging slowly, throwing crooked shadows over tables stacked with tools, wires, and scraps of metal. It was here in the back corner of Bill Rothstein's property that investigators found the piece that tied everything together. A rusted metal box, lined with foam, fitted with screws and latches that matched the collar bomb exactly. But this one was different. It wasn't a prototype. It was a twin. The agent stood silent, realizing what it meant. Someone had built more than one. Among the clutter were notes written in neat block letters. Timer mech. She didn't flinch. Guilty on all counts. Life in prison. She turned to the cameras and shouted, "You're all fools! Bill planned it! Bill wanted this!" Outside the courthouse, reporters crowded around the lead investigator, asking if the mystery was finally over. He hesitated. "We have answers," he said quietly, "but not all of them. Too many of the key players are dead, and the ones left are still lying." Over the next few years, more evidence surfaced, including the discovery that Rothstein had called police himself days before the robbery, reporting a dead body in his garage. It was almost as if he wanted to be caught, but on his terms. He died before anyone could question him properly, taking secrets to his grave. Marjorie died in prison in 2017. Barnes followed soon after. And Brian Wells, the man at the center of it all, remained the story's biggest question mark. Was he a willing accomplice who underestimated his partners, or a true victim manipulated into his own death? Even the FBI couldn't decide. One retired agent said it best. "Every time we closed a door on this case, another opened. It's like chasing a ghost built out of lies." The PNC Bank parking lot where Brian Wells died has long been repaved, the gas station replaced by a new storefront. But locals still remember that day, the sirens, the shouting, the explosion that shattered the quiet of Erie forever. What no one can forget is the puzzle that outlived everyone involved, a chain of greed, deception, and deadly intellect that turned a simple pizza delivery into one of the strangest crimes in American history, and maybe the most unsettling part. The second bomb, the one found in Rothstein's workshop, was never tested, never proven safe. For all anyone knows, it could still work. So the question that still haunts investigators today is simple. If that wasn't the only bomb built, where are the... Most people think the Erie bombing case ended when Marjorie Deal Armstrong died in prison in 2017. But for those who stayed close to the case, the story never really closed. Years later, a cyber analyst stumbled on a forgotten forum post, dated just days before the robbery. The username, Collar Bomber 88. The message, 1 is a warning, 2 is a message, 3 is a legacy. Attached was a crude drawing of a collar bomb, not the one used, but something worse, smarter, deadlier. The IP address traced back to a public library in Erie. No ID, no surveillance, just a ghost in the system. Then came the VHS tape found in an abandoned storage unit. The footage showed a masked figure assembling a bomb in eerie silence. Behind him, scrawled in red on the wall, "Tested." No one knows who he was, but local news audio in the background confirmed one thing: it was filmed nearby, possibly just blocks from where Brian Wells died. So, was this part of something bigger? In 2021, a letter was sent anonymously to a local newsroom. It read, "He was never supposed to live. He was just the opening act." Signed only with a strange spiral and a triangle symbol, one that's since shown up at abandoned sites across Pennsylvania. Then came the final twist. Etched into a scorched workbench in a forgotten riverside shed were GPS coordinates. Investigators followed them and found a shallow grave. The body, still unidentified, the second bomb, still untested, and the question that keeps haunting everyone involved: if that wasn't the only bomb built, where are the others? Even now, some claim to see a man in a blue jacket placing flowers at the site of the blast. No name, no words. He comes and goes like a shadow. Maybe the scariest part of this whole case isn't what we know. It's what's still out there. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because the next case will leave you speechless. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss what comes next. This is just the beginning.